Leafs Nation, the season is about to begin, and I want to briefly discuss the question mark that is the Leafs this year. We had a whirlwind of a year last year that we'd all like to forget, but before we do, let's briefly recap what happened and what to expect this year. First off, the Leafs will not be that bad this year. One of the reasons the previous year was so difficult to endure was because it appeared like they weren't even trying. Add into the mix the fact that they had that little winning streak at the beginning of the year, and we knew that they could do better. It left for some very angry fans. But that's not to say that the Leafs will be amazing this year, because they're not. They're still projected to miss the playoffs again, but there is a lot of upside. The Leafs have some excellent prospects in Nylander, Brown, Kapanen, Harrington, to name a few. So go out and watch them on these games. They're cheaper and it's better competition. Also, the Leafs just acquired a bunch of year-long contracts in Arcobello, Parenteau, Grabner, Mathias, and boys. Hell, you can even throw Winnick in the mix, and this team is very debatable right now. These guys are all believed to be much better than their contract dictates. But why is that? Why is that good? To answer this, we can look to stats. In 5v5 situations and adjusted for score, their Corsi doesn't wow, but a thing to note is that from the previous year, all players improved upon this stat. Furthermore, with the exception of Mathias, every single player was above 50%. If these players continue to improve as they did from the previous year, or even just maintain, their contract looks like a steal and will benefit the Leafs. Now, we can't make any conclusions based off of one stat alone, so let's look at their horizontal evaluative rankings optic, or hero chart. Created by Dominic Gallimini, or Mimico Hero on Twitter, these charts span 3 years and compare each player to the others across the league and assign them a line based off of their production and their stats. For example, when looking at Marc Arcobello compared to the rest of the league, we can see his time on ice and his point production are that of a third-line player. However, when looking on his impact of teammates in terms of Corsi for and Corsi against per 60 and Corsi percentage, we can see they are of a top-line player. Marc Arcobello, top-line player. By comparison, Brad Boyce appears to be a solid second-line player, and PA Parenteau for that matter. When looking at Grabner and Sean Mathias, we can see that their time on ice is that of a typical fourth-liner. However, their point production is much higher than that. Now, this isn't to say these are the lines these players are going to play on, or that they deserve to play on, but it is a good comparison across the league as to where they stack up. Slowly, we are starting to see why the Leafs showed interest in these players, but can you see the similar trend in all these? Well, I'll tell you. Not one single player of this list was receiving time on ice that their numbers wouldn't support. In fact, many of them were receiving time on ice lower than what their numbers would support, indicating that they maybe should be played more. Finally, to really drive home this analysis, let's look at their takeaways and giveaways, which I've normalized to per 60 minutes of each player, so we can compare between them, regardless if they were played on fourth-line minutes or first-line minutes. Now, to determine turnovers, I subtracted giveaways from takeaways, so we can see, on average, per 60 minutes, whether they were an asset or a liability to their team. From this, we can see that every single player improved. In fact, with the exception of Marc Arcobello, every single player was an asset to the team or above 0, meaning that they caused more turnovers than they gave up. Now, if the Leafs are causing more turnovers than they're giving up, and they're having a good impact on their players' puck possession time, and Mike Babcock comes in and puts in a better puck possession system, that would lead us to believe that the Leafs will be able to better control the puck, better maintain the puck, and better acquire the puck in the complete opposite order of that. And if they can do this successfully, they will be a much better team than last year, which may not be a huge accomplishment because they were really bad, but hey, it's a start. So now when you look at these contracts and I tell you that Grabner's $3 million for 1 year, Sean Mathias is $2.3, and every single one of those other players they just listed are under $2 million for 1 year, it's a bargain. Why not do that? Now that we know why these players are better than their contract dictates, let's look at why that's good for the Leafs. Well, if they play up to expectations, that leaves the Leafs with two excellent options. One, re-sign them for a good price because, hey, they played well, keep them around, they're young. Or if they can't sign them for whatever reason, the Leafs will look at trading them to a cup-contending team. All these players have a 1-year contract that's a low figure, so they could fit right in, wouldn't have a big dent in the cap, and if the team didn't like what they saw, they could just let them walk at the end of the year. Or if they can't sign them for whatever reason, the Leafs will look at trading them to a cup-contending team. All these players have a 1-year contract that's a low figure, so they could fit right in, wouldn't have a big dent in the cap, and if the team didn't like what they saw, they could just let them walk at the end of the year. Or if they don't produce at what we expect or don't pan out as the Leafs anticipate, the Leafs just let them walk. Hell, with our prospect pool, you may want to hold them to a higher standard because if they don't produce, you got another great guy coming up. Now, these are just 5 players on the Leafs. There are many more question marks. How well will Kadri fare as number 1 center? Can Bernier cement himself as the number 1 starter? Will we see a difference in switching to a 4-man power play? How will FNUF respond to a Babcock regime? One thing's for sure, we're going to have a whirlwind of a season. So strap in, hold on, and get ready, because this is officially the first year of the rebuild.